Generally speaking, again, more broadly speaking, of course, high turnout and voter suppression can take place at the same time.
So here's the thing. Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right?
And then they're coming after Social Security. Now, it sounds like, there's Biden, that's typical Democrats saying Republicans are after Social Security. This is the one thing they've said out loud. They've written it down on pieces of paper.
Want to know what you're doing on November the 8th? We'll tell you. You're voting to save the soul of America.
A lot is at stake.
Only 8 days left until Election Day. Sean Hannity Show. More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America.
All right, hour 2, Sean Hannity Show. Toll free, it's 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. So we found a new tape of the trust fund baby brat in a hoodie that's never worked a day in his life, that is probably has to be at least the top 0.1% of most extreme candidates ever to run for the U.S. Senate. Here's Johnny Fetterman, the man trust fund brat. Likes to look like a working guy, has the hoodie, has the tattoos, talks the language, talks the talk. No. Newly unearthed video, Fetterman smearing Republicans as racist, saying racism has always been a part of the Republican base. Listen.
Remember, Barack Obama won 2 terms in a commanding fashion.
Right.
So there hasn't been some massive sea change. And, of course, you have nationalism and racism, but you've always had that as part of the Republican base.
You've always had that as part of the Republican base. That is who's the Democratic base? Because this is a guy, no restrictions on abortion. You can have an abortion up until the last minute. This is a guy who wants a moratorium on fracking. Pennsylvania. A moratorium on fracking. It's an $81+ billion industry in your state. There's never been a Senate candidate ever in the history of running for the U.S. Senate that has advocated for the release of more convicted murderers than this guy. Guy that chases an innocent African-American jogger down the street. Guy's done nothing wrong. He's jogging. Holds him at gunpoint, according to the jogger, with a shotgun pointed at his chest. Pretty unbelievable. So we got that John Fetterman, and then of course we have the John Fetterman applauding the Philadelphia DA and his elimination of cash bail. Another genius idea, another pro-criminal idea.
I really have been enjoying watching Larry Krasner, your new district attorney, just take some common sense approaches, like getting rid of police officers that shouldn't be testifying, decriminalizing possessions of marijuana, refusing to prosecute those kind of crimes, reducing or eliminating cash bail on a lot of different offenses.
Oh, okay. Anyway, joining us now is Dr. Oz. He's now surging in the polls. Very latest had him up by, I think 6 was the latest I saw. Dr. Oz, you've come a long way. You started the campaign after a brutal Republican primary by any measure. Tens and tens of millions of dollars spent just on the primary alone. And, now you're at a point where, you've got a comfortable lead. And, how do you feel about the race? We're only 8 days away.
I feel great about the race, mainly because of what you first said, which is that I'm surging, and he has not been able to address the extremist comments that he has said for years. And when we finally got him on a debate stage where he had to actually answer a question, not sort of softball stuff that he was doing via Zoom with some of the media groups, but, he's never been out there campaigning where he had to answer questions. He never answered them from the voting public. He never answered them from the media or me. So he could always just sort of pretend these things never happened. But when you ask him about why he says that fracking is a stain on Pennsylvania, or wanted to put a moratorium on it, or said, I'll quote, I don't support fracking at all. I never have. By the way, that was 3 years ago. It wasn't a long time ago. And then now he's pretending like he's all big time fracking because he needs that to win. He doesn't have an answer. And when he stumbles, of course, folks jump up and down and start to say, wait, this guy's he's not telling the truth. Same thing for his positions as the most pro-murderer candidate ever and probably in the country, but definitely in Pennsylvania. His desire to decriminalize drugs, which I only bring up because it makes Pennsylvania a border state. when we have number 3 highest mortality rate of any state on fentanyl overdoses, and Fetterman's out there trying to make all drugs legal, which, by the way, they tried that in Oregon, which Fetterman supported 2 years ago, 50% increase in homicide rate, not drug overdose rate, homicide rate. So this is really a bad idea. I haven't gotten to the economic issues where he's tried to raise taxes at every job he's ever had, tried to hike them 46% in Pennsylvania as lieutenant governor. He supported Biden's tax rate increase. He hasn't paid his own 67 times. So you listen to all this stuff and you think there's no way. But unbelievably, Sean, the night of the debate, where I think it was pretty clear he couldn't defend his extreme positions, and I was trying to present that I would go to Washington to bring balance, to get us to fix the big problems that face our country, Democrats from around the country sent him $2 million of donations that night. And I'm thinking, why? What are they rewarding? What do they want? And one person finally said, well, the reason we're giving them all this money is because we just want the yay vote. We just want the 51st vote. They don't realize what an existential threat he is to the country. And they would really harm us to blow up the filibuster, to pack the Supreme Court, to push Biden even further to the left, which is what he has pledged to do.
Well, all of that is true. I mean, when you really think about it, all they want is like a robot. It is, as long as you got a D next to your name, it doesn't matter. You're going to be a reliable Schumer, Joe Biden vote. Now, the question I have is, how is this working out for the people of Pennsylvania? Because I think the choice is pretty clear, and it's the same for every state. If you're happy with the 40-year high of inflation, I guess vote for Democrats. If you're happy with record high gas prices, vote for Democrats. You're going to be experiencing a 30 to 50% increase in your heating bills this year. If you're happy with that, vote for Democrats. You like open borders, vote for Democrats. If you like defund, dismantle, no bail laws, and you want to empty half the prison population in Pennsylvania, and you want to release convicted murderers in the case of John Fetterman, then I guess vote for the Democrat. Otherwise, this is an opportunity in 8 days for people to make a change, a dramatic shift in policy that I think would make our city safer, lower gas prices, get the country back on track economically, and it would be a big first step, control our borders, go back to energy independence. It's not complicated really being a conservative to me.
There's two parts to the equation, as you know, because the average listener right now is saying, how is it even possible that it's a close race? And it is a close race. It could go either way. First issue is we have to be able to tell the truth about John Fetterman more than he lies about me. So DrOz.com, if you have the ability, I don't care if it's $10, $25, whatever you can contribute. The Democrats are doing it big time to prop him up. I'm a better candidate for the country. Forget about the Republican Party, which obviously has strong support to the values, but I'm a better candidate to make sure our nation thrives. So go to DrOz.com and support. The second big issue is we have got to get Republicans to vote. Now, people are pretty energized. They're very upset about John Fetterman and his extreme positions and what he's represented. They're upset that the media has covered for him and has not allowed his radical views to truly be expressed. And normally they go through it in detail and start to say, you know, this guy's not right for Pennsylvania, and he's got these crazy ideas that are going to really hurt us, and here's the reason, and so on and so forth. It's starting. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette endorsed me today, so it's a major paper in the western part of the state. So people are starting to say enough's enough, but I need everyone listening. Call your friends in Pennsylvania, and if you live in Pennsylvania, you better vote and bring 10 friends with you.
Well, it's listen, I don't think anything's a slam dunk. At this point, I've read enough polls for this campaign cycle. I think the trend is moving towards the Republican Party, or certainly a change election. I don't think the Democrats, I can't identify any one or two issues that they're running on that we could say, you know, they did a really good job here. Or nothing that they can say that they've done that has been successful that would give you a reason to vote for them.
What I keep asking voters is to do one simple calculation. Ask yourself and your friends, are you happy with where the country's headed? And if people say yes, please take their car keys away. They should not be driving in that situation. But if they're saying no, which most people, 70% will, then no, I'm the candidate for change. I believe we're the land of opportunity. I'm an embodiment of the American dream. My parents were immigrants to this country and thrived because of this nation, its beautiful willingness to take in outsiders. I have push, and I know we can make sure we don't have a budget that's dependent on recklessly spending our kids' money. I know that we can have all of the above energy policy. I believe we can have subsidy streets and also have a secure border without having any fentanyl coming across, which is basically an endorsement of terrorist organizations, which are cartels, buying drugs from China and bringing them in here. And I believe, to your last point, that we can have parents choose the best opportunities for their kids, especially in their schooling. All of this is ours, but the most important thing I believe in, Sean, is you, the people of America. I know we can do it. We don't have to be micromanaged and told what to do by know-it-alls who actually don't have ideas that are any better than ours. Quite the opposite. And in Pennsylvania, when you go around and campaign, you get optimistic because the average person here knows exactly what they want to do. We have everything we need, bountiful energy beneath the ground, produce above the ground, everything that we need to be able to thrive for our manufacturing headquarters. We have educational opportunities with great universities. We just have to let them do their job. And I'll start with the police, because the number one thing Fetterman has done wrong is he's undermined the police, which is why they all endorsed me. Literally, the Fraternal Order Police, the patrollers, the firemen, everyone endorses me because they know I have their back. We have to let people do their jobs again in America.
Quick break, more with Dr. Oz on the other side. 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. All right, it's simple. You can get wrapped up in inflation, high prices these days. You know, what moves are the Fed going to make next? Are we going to get another 75 basis point increase in interest rates? Look, you shouldn't let that happen. Focus on the things you can control, like your budget. And if you take the time to review your spending, you can cut back where you can. And our friends at AmericanFinancing.net, they want to give you a free financial review, debt consolidation review, mortgage review, and they'll go over your very unique financial situation, and they'll let you know if there are ways and things that they can do to help you save money every month and over the course of maybe your loan, a lot of money over time. Anyway, it's no pressure, no obligation. In many cases, they're saving people over $1,000 a month. It's very simple, and they will take less than 10 minutes of your time. You can talk to their finance experts, their debt consolidation experts, their mortgage experts. They'll give you a free consultation without any pressure at all. Call them now, 866-615-9200, 866-615-9200. On the web, it's AmericanFinancing.net.
American Financing, NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Newt Gingrich here, and I'd like to invite you to listen to my podcast, Newt's World. Most people know me as the former Speaker of the House, but I'm also a historian with a wide range of interests. I enjoy talking with fascinating people across a variety of topics. On Newt's World, we've had some extraordinary guests join us, like former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger.
Ending the war in Vietnam was a necessity in order to help heal the divisions in the country.
John Clifton, the CEO of Gallup.
The world has been winning the war against hunger for 4 decades. In 2014, it switched. We have a serious hunger crisis.
And House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy.
What I've really found the Republican Party to be, it's the party of the people, the working people of America.
I release 3 episodes of Newt's World podcast every week, and I hope you'll find my conversations engaging and informative, and hopefully, we'll both learn something new. Listen to Newt's World on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. Newt Gingrich here, and I'd like to invite you to listen to my podcast, Newt's World. Most people know me as the former Speaker of the House, but I'm also a historian with a wide range of interests. I enjoy talking with fascinating people across a variety of topics. On Newt's World, we've had some extraordinary guests join us, like former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger.
Ending the war in Vietnam was a necessity in order to help heal the divisions in the country.
John Clifton, the CEO of Gallup.
The world has been winning the war against hunger for 4 decades. In 2014, it switched. We have a serious hunger crisis.
And House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy.
What I've really found the Republican Party to be, it's the party of the people, the working people of America.
I release 3 episodes of Newt's World podcast every week, and I hope you'll find my conversations engaging and informative, and hopefully, we'll both learn something new. Listen to Newt's World on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
Coast to coast, border to border. Sean Hannity is on the radio right now.
All right, we continue with Dr. Oz, 8 days outside of these important midterms. You know what's an amazing thing is after the debate took place, it was very obvious from the debate that things were a lot worse than they had told us. And then national Democrats, their anger wasn't that John Fetterman didn't perform well in the debate. Their anger was, well, why did you have to show people? Why did you even bother to debate? Why didn't you just hide it from the people of Pennsylvania? Now, why is that something that really irritates me? Because that's so dishonest, fundamentally dishonest for the people of Pennsylvania. I think that it should be part of every election cycle that candidates debate the issues, go toe to toe, and let the voters then decide which vision they prefer.
Sean, if it wasn't for you and others putting intense pressure on Fetterman's campaign, he would never have debated. And you just revealed something that's really important, and it's ultimately what will, I think, determine this last week of election polling. The people of Pennsylvania feel like they were duped. They were told something that wasn't true, and now they're beginning to realize it. You watched a campaign pretend everything was fine and be unwilling to engage at any level, and only when the polls got close enough that they felt they had to participate did they start. And when they began to try to defend their radical positions, they couldn't. And the media never held them accountable for it. And listen, I'm a patriot and American first. Everything else is afterwards. I think you're the same way. You've actually specifically said, right? You're in this regard, you're a libertarian. You just want Americans to be the best we can be. And what I don't get is anybody who wants to actually be involved in helping the public hiding the truth. It's the opposite. That's why debates are critical. That's why I've been going after John Fetterman for not answering voters' questions. Forget about mine. Mine are predictable. You know, I ask my questions and I have a reason to ask them, right? But a voter just has a personal problem that they need addressed. John Fetterman won't answer their questions. He won't take questions from the press on the campaign trail. So there's no opportunity to do what I had to do the entire time. Answer tough questions about my positions, get comfortable with who I am as I get, pummeled by whatever press attack I'm dealing with. But that's okay. That's how the public figures out.
But we still don't know why he wants no restrictions on abortion. We still never gotten an answer. He can say that, I'm pro-fracking, but we have audio tape on numerous occasions of him saying the opposite. Why does he have this obsession to release convicted murderers? Why does he want the taxpayers to pay for safe heroin injection sites? Why does he not want the rule of law obeyed and want Pennsylvania to be a sanctuary state or to legalize drugs or, on any of these positions? He still to this day, throughout the entire campaign, has never given a legitimate answer to any of them.
And no one's pushing him to give one. So that's...
Well, I've offered him 3 hours of radio time and an hour of TV time, and he won't take it.
Well, in fairness, you're the exception to the rule. The traditional approach to Fetterman has been whatever he says is fine, and we'll ask him questions. He never answers the questions, just like you asked the question of him. Come on the show, 3 hours, which is an incredible gift to any candidate. He won't answer. If I'm correct, he never wrote you back, right? It's like a black hole over there.
Jeff Lord once pinned him down in a round table that was like a Zoom call round table, and his answer was, a non-answer. Because it would be an opportunity for him. If he really is passionate about releasing convicted murderers, then fine, be passionate about it, but explain it. So you've got 8 days left in this campaign, and 1 week from tomorrow, the people of Pennsylvania will decide, although we're told now we may not find out the results for days.
Well, we have Pennsylvania. I am confident that when the votes are counted, I will win. It sometimes takes more than a day. We learned that in the primary. But you're right. We will all go to the polls. And absentee ballots have been out for a while. Today's the last day that you can request them. But here's what I'm confident of. People of Pennsylvania are smart. They understand the issues. They have heard a lot about both of us, a lot more from me than him, but they've heard from both of us. So they're going to make a decision based on the kitchen table issues. And the issues of inflation, the border with fentanyl, and with crime are the ones that are dominant. Those are the ones who will drive not just my campaign election, but I think many others. And we will prevail because of that. But again, everybody, DrOz.com. If you want to make sure that I can keep telling the truth about Fetterman more than he lies about me, please arm me. I put a ton of money in but I need help.
Well, this is the final push here, and if the people of Pennsylvania understand what's at stake, I think you'll win this race. I hope you win this race. This country is in trouble. These current policies that he supports are failing. Dr. Oz, thanks for being with us. We'll have you on, I'm sure, one more time before Election Day, only 8 days from now. Thank you.
God bless.
Quick break, right back. All right, 25 now till the top of the hour. 800-941-SEAN, our number. You want to be a part of the program. Let's get to our phones. New York, we say hi to Frank. Frank is standing by. How are you, sir? Happy Monday. 8 days until the midterms. I hope you have a little bit of a little squeaky feeling in your stomach, that, what's going to happen feeling. Fear is a great motivator. Anyway, what's going on?
And I listen and watch you 4 hours a day, Sean. So, and
thank
you're a great
you.
American.
You're a great American, and great Americans are going to save this country in 8 days. Go ahead.
Thank you. On April 16, 2019, I had a stroke. I was down in Texas on business. So my wife came down the next day, and I did not even recognize my wife. I did not remember my passwords, my banking, my stocks.
Scary.
My wife supported me. She told me to retire. I was only 64 years old. My doctor says I couldn't drive. I had to take a written driving test. I didn't understand the colors or the shapes. I did not go back to work for 2 months. The doctor says you had to relax your brain. I cannot believe what Dr. Fetterman said about him. That and I went back to work part-time for 3 months.
You mean what the donor doctor said about Fetterman? Because it wasn't his doctors that took care of him on the issue of the stroke. I think we should have heard from them, not a big donor.
Right. That's correct. And then again, my doctor says you have to stay home for 2 months. And then when I went back, I worked part-time. My boss did not even make me go to meetings because I would be stressed out. I went to physical therapy for 6 months, 3 days a week. My wife had these cards with pictures on it, with oranges, scissors, everyday objects. I forgot what they were, so she did it for me every day until I knew what the objects were. So how
long did it take you to get back the cognitive function that you have now?
A good 5 to 6 months. But then again, I took physical therapy. My wife was so helped me out so much with my family.
What you're describing is, I don't know the rehab protocols that they adopted with John Fetterman, but it's obvious he has significant cognitive issues. And on a human note, I don't wish that on anybody. What you're describing sounds pretty scary to me. You don't recognize objects. You can't communicate. I know people that have had debilitating strokes. My grandfather had a debilitating stroke. Half his body was paralyzed, and it eventually took his life, and it was horrible to watch. I was pretty young at the time. And so you want people to stay in good health. But the question here is, and I think the biggest mistake that they made from the beginning is they tried to hide it. And by hiding it and lying about it and saying, we're getting back out on the campaign trail, and we're doing fine, and the media, complicit as always, goes along. They never press the issue. They never demanded answers to questions. And we'd see him, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Clearly there was evidence that something was going wrong, but you never got the full picture of how bad it was. And that debate was eye-opening for most of the people in Pennsylvania. Listen, I only wish him good physical health. My biggest problem with Fetterman is how radical he is, how out of touch with the people of Pennsylvania he is, how dangerous his policies are, and on the merits, on the issues, I could never vote for somebody like this, and I've never seen a candidate this radical. Although, here you have Raphael Warnock is just as radical. Here you have Mandela Barnes just as radical. I mean, we've got really, really hardcore leftists that are running, to be in Congress. They all want to eliminate the legislative filibuster. They all want to pack the courts. They all want D.C. and Puerto Rico statehood, and they'll all be a rubber stamp for this failed Green New Deal radical socialism. So that's what's at stake in 8 days. As far as his health issues go, if I was him, I kind of agree with you. I would put my health first. and work on getting better. It just seems to me if it was somebody in my life, and I understand the stress of having to go and do a televised debate, be it in a state or nationally, and you've got to show up for that debate. If you're not capable, I would hope somebody in my life would say, Sean, I'm sorry, you're not up to the task, and step in and intervene. And they don't do it. I mean, I think Joe Biden is cognitively beyond a mess at this point, and he thinks he's going to run for re-election. I would be shocked if he's able to. I don't even think the Democrats want that to happen. If what I suspect can happen in 8 days does happen, and there's that shellacking and it's a wave election, I think they will throw him overboard in 5 seconds. And in comes Gavin Newsom, who's probably worse than him. Anyway, Frank, God bless you and your health. I wish you the best, my friend. Thank you for checking in. Chris in California. Chris, you're on the Sean Hannity Show.
Hey, Sean, how's it going? Thanks for getting my call.
Hey, thank you for checking in. What's happening?
Hey, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the cashless bail that's been going on. I kind of want to talk about it a little bit from the addict's point of view and criminal. I used to use for about 20 years, and I've also been through the criminal system, but I've been clean for the last 9.5 and been doing well. And so,
what kind of drugs were you addicted to?
Well, in California, meth is really bad over here. So there was.
So you were a methamphetamine addict.
Yeah. For 20 something years.
How bad was it?
Told my life, I stopped doing everything just so I could get the drugs, just so I could get high. I wrapped my whole life around getting high. Like that's what a drug addict does. He starts to get rid of like family, friends, people that care about him, and start putting himself around people that only want to get high and that's their only purpose. And so this cashless bail, so this is what happens. This is what used to happen. So let's just say I'm in a bad situation, I'm high, and I get in contact with the cops. And so the cops would take me down, I'd be arrested, and I'd go downtown. Well, they usually hold me there for like 3 days because I had to go to see the judge. But so once I got to my my bed, I would usually fall asleep for about a day and a half. Then I would wake up. There would be stacks of food by my bed because I had missed all those meals, and I'd eat a little bit of food, and then maybe take a shower, wipe off, get all the grease off my face, get all the dirt off my face, get clean, come back to my bunk, eat, and then go back to sleep, and then go to court and get released. And so, and that would bring me back to my sanity, and I'd have some time to like regroup and get myself together. So now with this cashless bail is these people that are in a bad situation, that are in a situation where they got called, the cops got called on them, they now have no time to recover. So they're getting released right back into the bad situation that they didn't know how to handle it on drugs, and now have to make serious decisions into becoming, into doing more crime or do more things that are going to, lead them down to sleep in a car or homeless. And they're having to make these decisions because they're getting thrown right back into the fire. And so that's why
what was your lowest point? I mean, I would suspect you were homeless for probably a lot of years, no?
No, so that's what I was getting to, is that, when you get to using, you never, you set boundaries for yourself, like I'll never be homeless or I'll never commit these crimes. But when you get put into that situation, you have to make a decision. My decision was I'm going to commit crime and just go to prison and go to jail. I'm not going to be homeless. And that's what many people are making that decision now because they don't have no recovery is that's their life. They never intended to be criminals, but there's no choice because there's no place to get in recovery. And so what I heard Lee Zeldin talk the other day, I think on Friday about it, and he hit it right on the head in saying he needs to open up those prisons and those jails so a place where you could turn them into places where they could get those people off the street for 2 or 3 days. I mean, just to get some sleep, just to get some food, just to get out of that bad situation. I mean, just to be like, I remember getting out of jail, after those days of sleep and thinking like, okay, I'm not angry about that anymore. I'm not going to go over there causing more trouble. I'm going to go and do my own thing and go do something else. I couldn't imagine being released the same night to go back into the fire. I mean, I'm thankful I got taken off the streets, and enough times in jail and enough times getting clean, I finally found God. and I finally found another reason. I lost my want for drugs, and I began to start to live a new life. And amazingly, without no drugs in my life, I haven't come into contact with no police anymore. That's the
Let me ask you a question. What are you doing with your life now?
I had a great family. My brothers really stuck with me, and I've started my own business. I have an art business, and I have not looked back, and I've been able to, hire a lot of people that work in the Celebrate Recovery that are looking to start their lives, and I've been able to hire a bunch of people and just grow. I've just seen a whole new world, and so yeah.
Well, listen, first of all, congratulations. When you look at addiction, especially meth addiction, heroin addiction, any of these really hard drugs, the percentage of people that actually recover and move on with their lives is very low. It's not high. Once you get it locked into that lifestyle, it destroys many people, and the end of the road is usually death for them at some point. I mean, did you do so much meth that, for example, you lost your teeth? People get that meth teeth thing.
Meth mouth? No. I was very lucky to keep. I was very lucky to keep all my main ones, which means my very front ones. Maybe my back teeth aren't as great, but I've been able to afford to get those fixed and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what's so important about being able to take people off the streets and give them at least 3 days or a couple of days in jail for the crime that they committed, is because it's not only going to help the community to get this guy off the streets that is low, but it's also going to help the addict that needs a bed, that needs to get away, that needs to be.
And there's one other thing here. You're gonna rob people that are addicted to drugs. If you're that addicted, you will do anything. You will rob anybody. You will harm people in the process, and not think twice about it, because the overriding driving motivator in your life is to get more drugs in your system. I've seen it. I've watched enough about it. Look, yours is a redemption story. Everybody likes a redemption story. Please stay on the path you're on. Never change. I hope you help a lot of people throughout your life learn from your good example, and take a bow, sir. You're one of the few that are able to overcome that kind of addiction. Appreciate you checking in with us. All right, quick break. Right back to the phones. Toll free. It's 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of the program. Look, when cyber criminals comb the dark web and then looking for stolen items, your identity, things that they value most are what are known as personal identifiable information. PII is called. Anyway, it includes your full name, social security number, your driver's license, bank account numbers, passport number, phone number, email address. All of us every day, we're putting a lot of personal information at risk on the internet. Now, LifeLock.com by Norton will see all these threats that we ourselves are likely to miss. And if they detect any of your personal information is compromised, you'll get an alert. If you are a victim of identity theft, you will get a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist that will fix it for you. It's very simple, low annual rate. Just call 1-800-LifeLock or go to LifeLock.com. If you mention my name, Hannity, you save an additional 25% off your first year. That's 1-800-LifeLock, LifeLock.com, promo code Hannity, 25% off. Protect your good name and reputation. Protect your finances. Don't get robbed blind, and protect your credit score. LifeLock.com, 1-800-LifeLock, promo code Hannity.
Roundup is next. You do not want to miss it. And stay tuned for the final hour free-for-all on the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, let's get back to our busy phones. Jim is in Wisconsin. Hey, Jim, how are you? Glad you called, sir.
Great, Sean. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for checking in. What's going on?
Well, I want to say, you got your saying, let not your heart be troubled.
Yes, sir.
Well,
it's not my saying. It's a biblical saying.
Well, okay. I mean, I got one of your shirts back in the day when you had them. But what I'm calling for is, I'm calling about diesel fuel. I'm a 30+ year truck driver. I'm on the road as we speak. And, this morning I heard a news, blip we're down to 22 days of diesel fuel. And I guess I don't understand is, I get it, midterms and everything else, yada, yada, yada. And, I'm voting straight Republican in Wisconsin. I'm all Michaels and Johnson and whatnot. But if we run out of fuel, diesel fuel.
Let me only, for the constraints of time, let me help you. If you guys run out of fuel, we're all dead. And I mean
Exactly.
it. We're all going to suffer. Our store shelves will be empty. There'll be nothing to buy
within
because
days.
everything we buy in every store we go to is brought there by people like you. And you are so critical to our economic infrastructure. It's an unmitigated disaster. Now, what are they planning to do to resolve this? I don't know. But if they don't resolve it, it's going to be, forget about the supply chain crisis we've had. This will be a crisis, the likes of which I don't know how we get out of. I would urge people to pay very close attention to what Jim is saying in Wisconsin, because Jim's on the front lines. Jim is out there every day. He's paying the high price for diesel, which means, guess what? That cost gets passed on to us because he can't take less for the loads he's delivering. So I hope people hear you, Jim, because what you're telling us is if we don't get back to that point where we have the proper amount of energy, it's the lifeblood of our economy, we will all suffer greatly. I know you guys don't get credit for what you do, but I wish I had more time to talk with you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for all the hard hours you work. Thank you for bringing stuff to every store we go to so that our lives are easier. It's only possible because of the hard work you do. Anyway, I wish I had more time. 800-941-SEAN is our number if you want to be a part of the program.
Financial advisors. Remember when your job was fun? I'm Ron Kraszewski, CEO of Stifel. And at our firm, it still is fun. Here, you'll find the culture and values of the past, along with the technology and vision of the future. Stifel is a firm built by advisors for advisors, a place where you can better serve your clients and have some fun again in our business. Visit ChooseStifel.com to learn more about the investment firm you've been waiting for.
When it comes to building wealth, knowing where you stand is half the battle. That's why we've created Stifel Wealth Tracker. Stifel Wealth Tracker lets you build your personal balance sheet and track your net worth over time. You can securely link your financial accounts using bank-level encryption and even connect with a Stifel financial advisor if you need professional guidance regarding your situation. Download Stifel Wealth Tracker on the App Store, Google Play, or by going to stifel.com/tracker. That's STIFEL.com/tracker.